everybody, and welcome to another episode of SBTDT. Sorry for the delay, I've been absent for quite a while. I had some computer problems and work kept me busier than expected. I didn't have the time to fix the computer, but I'm back. Today we're gonna be talking about something that everybody fears, and I'm included in the list up until some time ago. We're talking about sliding. Sliding is a question that everybody asks me. Oh, what do I do if the bike slides? What should I do when I feel the bike sliding? Or other people, asks me, how do I make the bike slide? Well, let's answer the first question, which is, what do I do when the bike slides? Nothing. Don't do nothing. This is going to be the shortest video of the entire series. When the bike slides, don't do nothing. How do you make the bike slides? Well, if you're trying to go fast, don't do nothing and the bike will slide by itself. If you are just trying to show off and be a little dumb, you can try to wang the throttle if you are that confident, Valentino Rossi style, but definitely I'm not going to recommend you to do that. So let's talk about sliding. What's causing the bike to slide? Well, obviously it's a loss of grip in one of the tires. Let's keep in mind that the bike, when it's sliding, is changing the geometry, and if we are on a curve, as we spoke in the past, we need to make sure that we have the throttle a little bit open. So two key things in the sliding discussion is that, first of all, you need to have the bike in the proper geometry setting, and second, you need to have proper body position. So if you don't remember this stuff, look back at SBTDT number 7 and SBTDT number 8. They will explain exactly these two things. So provided that we are driving the bike in the proper way, so we are on a curve with a little bit of throttle and we have the proper body position with our head down as close as we can to the ground, so knee on the ground and everything down, the bike starts sliding. What do? Nothing. The only thing that is happening to the bike in the moment is just changing the geometry. If you guys remember this thing, there is just a geometry change going on onto the motorcycle. And the worst thing you can do while the bike is sliding is to add an additional geometry change by increasing the throttle, decreasing the throttle, worse than anything, apply the brakes. The bike is changing geometry, let her find a geometry that is stable. The bike is doing something, let it do it. I remember the first time that someone told me this, I was at a TrackDay. Back then I was still just, a normal rider, advanced group. And we were there at the riders meeting, and during the riders meeting, this guy comes in the picture. He says, wait a second, there is some sand on this turn and this other turn, so be careful, the bike might slide, but if you feel the bike sliding, don't do nothing, let it slide. I looked at him and said, okay, who's this show off? I'm not going to do anything. If the bike slides, I have to do something. I have to do it. Well, later on that day, I was riding my Ducati 848. I'm happy as I can be with my knee on the ground and I'm all down and going. And this guy passes me with a dinosaur, a giant BMW HP2 with the heads sticking out and everything. He pops up a wheelie coming out of the turn and lowers the bike on the next turn, which was left hand, just scraping the headers and making sparks everywhere. And I'm like, okay, what have I done wrong? Well, it was him, which him is Nate Kern. After this episode, he actually became my instructor. He's the one that taught me all of this. And I had this terrible fear of the bike sliding, and I was never pushing too far because I was afraid of feeling the bike sliding. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do if the bike slides. And he kept insisting, you don't have to do nothing, you don't have to do nothing. Until one day he told me, you know what, step in the back. Yes. He made me sit behind him on his big BMW bike that weighed 420 pounds and had 109 horsepower. And he still was flying by me. He made me sit behind him and we started going around the racetrack. And in every single turn, while I was sitting in the back, I felt the rear tire sliding. It was literally, I could feel the bike that was walking away from us, and he just kept the throttle there, and the bike was whoa. And at the end of the turn, it was just perfect. So at that point, I learned that I didn't have to fear the bike to slide. So I started eventually gaining confidence in the fact that my front tire has enough grip to hold the bike, and the rear will eventually move a little bit, but that's no big deal. So I started getting faster and faster, getting into the corners faster, until one day I started feeling that I was at the limit point. The rear tire was sliding. I could feel I was down in the corner, and mainly I can feel it on my leg, because the seat is right here, and I can feel that the seat starts changing angle compared to where I am. I'm down with my knee on the ground and my head as low as I can, and I feel that the bike moves under my leg. It just moves away from me and then eventually comes back. It's a weird feeling, but I don't fear anymore. That's all I have to do. I just, the bike slides, that's the limit point. I can stick with it. So throttle stands right there. I'm not gonna chop it off. If I chop off the throttle while the bike is gliding, I'm gonna take away the weight from the rear tire. I'm gonna put it all in the front. The rear tire is gonna slide out, eventually it's gonna grip again, shoot you up, you have a high side, you're gonna get hurt. So the worst thing you can do while the bike is gliding is chop off the throttle. Don't do it. Hold the throttle. If you want to show off, you want to try to wang on the throttle, be careful. You can really get hurt if you do anything wrong in doing such thing. I've seen expert riders doing it, but we're talking about people like Valentino Rossi, Casey Stoner, or Mark Marquez, guys like that. They can wang the throttle and they have confidence that nothing is going to happen to them. Let's keep in mind that they have also different electronics a lot of times, but we're not at that level. Let's take the start point that we're not at that level. The bike starts sliding, that's my limit point. I'm going to hold it there. Have confidence in the fact that the bike will get back in line. Once the motorcycle finds again a stable geometry, the bike will be stable. Nothing happens. Don't worry. You hit a patch of sand, the bike will change the geometry, and then it's going to come back under you. You will feel it walking away and coming back. No biggie, it happens. A lot of times I'm at the point that I don't even feel that the bike is gliding. I remember 2 years ago I was in a race at VIR. Coming out of the last turn, I had someone behind me, and I was going really strong to keep him behind me because I was afraid he was going to pass me. At the end of the race, this guy came in the pit to me talking. I said, "Man, I couldn't believe what you were doing. I started backing off from you. I thought you were going to crash. You had the bike totally sideways." I didn't even know that my bike was sideways. He said that the bike was sideways. He said that I was leaving black trails on the ground with my 848. Wow, I'm impressed with myself. I didn't know that I could do it that good, but apparently I did that. And I didn't even realize it. Other times, I know that the bike slides just because I can hear the engine revving up while I'm on a turn. I'm down, whoa! That's a sign that the tire just had a little slide. I didn't even feel it. That's fine. It's nothing that I worry about. Really, sliding becomes part of the everyday riding. So don't worry about it. Don't panic. Be cool about it. Let the bike do its job. You need to have faith in your motorcycle. If you set up the bike properly and you have the proper body position, nothing is going to happen. You're already on the floor. You're down with your knee on the ground, and really, it's rule number one that babies have to learn when they're first born. You cannot fall when you're already on the ground. So stay there, let the bike move. She's changing geometry. She's going to find a stable one. It's going to happen. If you really messed her up all the way that the bike cannot find a stable geometry, still hold the throttle because you're going to go down in a low side. No biggie. It's better to do a low side than a high side. But a high side won't happen unless you chop off the throttle all of a sudden. So that's it. Don't do nothing. When the bike slides, don't do nothing. That's all you need to know. Don't try to make a slide. Just keep riding, increase your pace, and when you feel that the bike starts sliding, that's your limit point. That will be the point where you need to adjust the setup of the bike. You will start playing with the suspensions, with the tire pressure, stuff like that. But this is stuff we will talk about in the next episodes. So remember, when the bike slides, do nothing.